What kind of man turns absolute power into absolute terror? In ancient Rome, one emperor ruled not with wisdom, but with fear. His name was Caligula. To some, he was a madman. To others, a monster created by power itself. But who was Caligula really? And how did one man turn the greatest empire on earth into a living nightmare? This is the chilling story of Rome's most terrifying emperor. Caligula was born in the year 12 AD into a world drenched in violence and betrayal. His real name wasn't Caligula. It was Gaius Julius Caesar Germanicus. His father, Germanicus, was Rome's most beloved and celebrated general. His mother, Agrippina, was fiercely ambitious and dangerously sharp. As a child, Caligula practically grew up in military camps. The soldiers adored him, and they dressed him in tiny military boots called caligae. That's how he got his nickname, one that would stick with him for the rest of his life, Caligula or Little Boots. But his childhood was anything but innocent. His heroic father died mysteriously, likely poisoned. His mother and brothers were then exiled, or worse, executed by the reigning emperor Tiberius. By the time Caligula was 20 years old, he had learned one brutal lesson. In Rome, trust gets you killed. In 37 AD, the paranoid emperor Tiberius died, and Caligula became the new emperor of Rome. The city erupted in celebration. The people absolutely adored him. He was young, charismatic, and the son of their beloved hero, Germanicus. He immediately began to win their hearts. He freed political prisoners, lowered crushing taxes, and showered the army with honors and bonuses. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed like Rome had finally found hope again, a return to greatness. But behind the cheering crowds and the public smiles, something dark and twisted was beginning to grow within him. Just a few months into his reign, Caligula fell gravely ill. We don't know what it was, but he was on the brink of death. Many historians believe this mysterious illness changed him forever, because when he finally recovered, Rome no longer recognized its emperor. Caligula emerged from his sickbed, a changed man. He became intensely paranoid, seeing enemies and assassins lurking in every shadow. Friends who had once celebrated his rise to power became threats. His own family became targets. He started ordering executions without trials, based on mere suspicion. Senators, the most powerful men in Rome, were publicly humiliated. He forced some to run for miles in front of his chariot before being killed. Others were subjected to brutal torture for his own twisted amusement. Caligula wasn't just ruling Rome anymore, he was terrorizing it. He seemed to take a sadistic pleasure in the fear he inspired. The hope that had filled the city just months earlier had curdled into a constant, suffocating dread. But there is one story that shocked Rome more than any other, a story that perfectly captures his contempt for the established order. Caligula adored his horse Incitatus. He didn't just like it. He worshipped it. He gave the horse a stable made of marble, a collar of precious jewels, and its own team of servants to attend to its every need. Then he did the unthinkable. He announced his plan to make his horse a consul, one of the highest political offices in Rome. Was this a sign of complete madness, or was it a cold, calculated message? Many historians believe Caligula did this to humiliate the Senate, to show them that in his eyes, even his horse was more worthy and powerful than they were. In Caligula's Rome, laughter was a dangerous risk. Silence was the only path to survival. Caligula's ambition didn't stop at earthly power. He didn't want to rule like a man, he wanted to rule like a god. He declared himself divine, a living deity on earth. He ordered statues of himself to be placed in sacred temples, right alongside the traditional gods of Rome. He even had the heads of some famous statues of gods like Jupiter replaced with his own likeness. He demanded that people worship him, prostrating themselves before him. Anyone who refused to acknowledge his divinity simply disappeared. Rome had seen its share of tyrants and dictators before, but it had never witnessed a ruler who truly believed he was immortal. who blurred the line between emperor and god so completely. All this divine ambition and lavish cruelty came at a cost. The empire's vast wealth began to vanish. Caligula spent unimaginable fortunes on constructing opulent palaces, throwing extravagant parties that lasted for days, and staging brutal, elaborate spectacles in the arena. When the imperial treasury finally ran dry, he simply invented new, absurd taxes to refill it. He started confiscating the property of wealthy citizens under false pretenses. He sold high-ranking positions in the government to the highest bidder. He even forced nobles to name him as the sole heir in their wills, effectively robbing their own families. Rome was bleeding money, resources, and morale, and all the while, Caligula seemed to be enjoying the chaos he was creating. But fear always creates its own enemies. In 41 AD, after only 4 brutal years of rule, Caligula's own Praetorian Guard, the elite soldiers meant to protect him, had finally had enough. They had lived in terror, just like the rest of Rome, and they decided to end it. In a dimly lit palace corridor, a group of guards cornered him. They attacked. He was stabbed again and again and again, more than 30 times. Caligula, the self-proclaimed god, died at the young age of 28. Shortly after, his wife and infant daughter were also killed, erasing his entire bloodline. In the aftermath, the Senate moved to erase him from history. His name was stricken from public records, his statues were destroyed, and Rome tried desperately to pretend he never existed. So what is the legacy of Caligula? Was he truly insane, driven mad by a mysterious illness? Or was he the predictable, terrifying result of a system that granted one man absolute, unchecked power? Was he a product of his brutal childhood, steeped in fear and betrayal? The truth is likely a combination of all these things. Caligula remains one of history's most potent warnings, reminder that power without limits, without accountability, doesn't just corrupt, it destroys everything and everyone it touches. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories from the past.